Hi there, Jeremy Cook, founder of Flip the Switch Education, with another quick tutorial on using Unity to create some cool things for your game. So today we're going to talk about how can we have things happen after a delay. And when I started first kind of building and working in Unity and really getting things figured out as a newbie, one of the things that I wanted to be able to do was to have things happen after a certain period of time. So a delay, and there's plenty of delays out there that will work. There's destroy on delay and there's an animation on delay. But what I wanted was some more functionality within one single script so that I didn't have to have all these different scripts in this big giant pile. So what I did was I went ahead and created a script that I like to call a event on delay. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to set your delay time, and then it's going to allow you to have an event system that's attached to that delay where you can add as many different things happening at the same time as you want, and you could have it enable an object, and then that object could also have the script attached to it, so you can kind of create like a chain of events. So here we're going to just do something real simple with these two. So when you think about it, you want to think about, what do I want to have happen once that game object is activated, or once the game object appears in the scene? So whether that's being enabled because you're starting it through a start function, or whether that's being enabled because you have another game object enabling it, it doesn't matter. But whenever this game object appears, we want to be able to set some functionality to it based on a delay. So we're going to take the sphere and we're going to turn it off. So now the sphere is off, and we're going to set our function onto this cube. So how do we do that? Like how do we figure out what to do with that function? So the first thing we're going to do is build a script. So we're going to go create, and we're going to go new script, C#, and we're going to call this delay event. So I'm going to call it delay event. Then I'm going to double click to open it up. Before we even start scripting, we need to add one thing up here into what we are using, which is going to be the events. So right now this script won't be able to invoke or do anything with events because we don't have that called up. So we're going to go ahead and just do using Unity. So we're just going to go ahead and go using Unity engine dot events, and add in the semicolon. So now it's going to allow us to put in Unity events and invoke the Unity events within this script. So we can delete the void. We don't need that. The first thing we want to be able to do is put up some public classes, because we want to be able to put our inputs in so that we have control over it. You could script it in and say that you want to have this happen after 20 seconds, but then you're going to have to go back and deal with that script each time. So it's just going to be easier to put in a float for the seconds, and then to put in a public object or a public class so that we can add in those seconds and so that we can do the event. So the first thing we're going to start with is a public float. And we're going to call this wait seconds. And because we want to be able to input our own, we're going to say equals 0 f semicolon. So this is going to allow us to put in what we want. So right now we're just setting it up so that we can input that. The second thing we need is a string event so that we can input that into the actual editor as we're building. So we're going to go public class, string event, colon, and Unity event. And then we're going to go string, put the string in the middle, and then after it we need the brackets. Following that, we need to set up our event. So we need to tell it, okay, what's this event? So that we can then have that drop-down box that's going to allow us to build the events into that script. So the third thing we're going to need at the top is a public Unity event And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to call it delay event. So now we have this delayed event. We have the public class there with the string, and we have the way to input our seconds. So now we're going to come down to the start function, and we're basically going to tell it when the game starts, or when the object appears in the game for the first time, this is what we want to occur. So this is what we're telling it. That's why we're going to leave it at this void start, because what it's saying is, as soon as that game object appears in the scene via starting the game, or as soon as we enable it, then it's going to give that countdown. So we have to tell it what we want it to do. So what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to invoke the Unity event. So we're going to use the invoke. But what do we want it to invoke? We want it to invoke the function that we're going to be creating. So we haven't created it yet. You can create it first, but it's just easier to throw it in here and then everything will kind of work itself out. So we're going to do our quotations, and we're going to call this the delay event. So we invoke the delay event, then we hit the comma, and at the top we called this wait seconds, right? This is how many seconds it's going to wait before it invokes the delay event. So now we just type in that wait seconds, and we end it with a semicolon. So now what this is saying is, after wait seconds here, we are going to invoke here the delayed event here. But we're not done, because we don't have the event. We don't have that function yet. We need to build that function. This is really easy and simple, but right now there's nothing to put into the script. It's not going to do anything. It looks like it's all good, but there is no delay event. So there's nothing for it to invoke. So we need to build this delay event. So the easiest way is to copy and paste it. So if for some reason you screw it up or you want to call it something different, it's fine. But if you copy and paste it, then it's the exact same regardless. Because if those don't match, it's not going to work. So we're going to create a new function by saying void. Our function is going to be called delay event, because that's what we're telling it. And then we're going to end it there. We have to build the brackets, because right now delay event is empty. There's nothing there. So we need to put something in it. So now what's going to happen on the delay event? So we've already told Unity that this is what we want to do. And now this is pointing to delay event. So Unity is going to point to delay event, but there's nothing going on in here. It's just going to do nothing. So this is where we're going to do it. What do we want to do? We want to invoke that event. So what event do we want to invoke? We want to invoke the one that we put up here in our public class, right? So this is the drop down. So whatever this is that you want in the Unity event, whether it's to trigger an animation, it's to set bool active, disable it, whatever you want, you've set that in the public class. Now we need to put it down here. So it's easy. We're going to take delay event. I'll copy and paste this one too. Okay, so there's delayed event. What do we want to do with it? We want to invoke it. And that's it. So now this is going to work. So what it's going to do, it's going to wait the seconds up here. After 20 seconds, it's going to invoke delay event, which is going to basically turn this on, delay event, invoke, right? So this is going to happen after 20 seconds. One thing that's always important to make sure that you do is to look at and make sure that the name of your script, which is going to be up here in the tab, delay event, matches the public class for your mono behavior. So these two things have to be the same. If they're not, it's not going to work. So I'm going to come here and just change it if it's for some reason doesn't change. So we change that there, delay event, file, save. So one thing that I want to point out that happen here. And this is something that I learned. So for people who are new, like this is something that's really important to understand, is I named the script itself delay event. And because I'm doing it for this, I already built the other one, which is a different name for it. I can't call my function the same as the script. So this is really easy to fix. We're just going to put the word on in the middle of it, and we're going to call this delay on event. So now it's going to fix it. Now I have delay event up, which is why the public class changed back to the original, which is why this changed back to begin with, is because you can't have the public class and the name be the same as one of your functions within the script. So now that that's changed, this is delay on event, delay on event. It's not the same as the title. This will stay the same. Now we can get back into it and really get to what we need to get to. So now we're going to place the delay event onto the cube. And over here you can see there's the delay event script. Here's our input for the time. And then we have down here where the events are going to occur. So what we're going to do real simply right now is we're going to say after 5 seconds, I want to have the sphere appear. So I can come here, game object, set active bool, true. But let's play this one out so you can see how it goes. So now the game is running, and in about 5 seconds, and now you see that the sphere has appeared. So that worked. Perfect. What's really nice about this script is that we're not limited to just one different thing. So I can say, all right, I also want the cube to go away. So we'll go game object, set active bool, false. Now when we start this up, we'll watch that the cube will disappear and the sphere will appear. Now, one of the other things that can be cool is to be able to bounce things back and forth. So there's so many different applications to this script, but the thing that I like the most is being able to bounce back and forth. So you can create things that happen back and forth and create chains of events. So what I mean by that is we can take the sphere and put the delay event on the sphere. We can have it wait 5 seconds, and then we can turn the cube, because it will be off, on. Set active bool, true, and then turn the sphere off. So now what will happen is the cube will disappear, the sphere will appear, then the sphere is going to disappear and the cube will appear. So the cube comes back on, and now our functions are off. So it goes back and forth, but there's so many different things you can do. So you can add in anything that you want. You can add in animations, and so it's nice because it allows you to do this kind of chain of events. So what I mean by a chain of events is we can do some cool stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our sphere, which is right here, we're going to add a rigid body to it. Make sure gravity is checked, set it at a higher mass level, say at 5, and we're going to uncheck gravity. Then I'm going to go into the delay script, and instead of it having it activate the cube, I'm going to bring the sphere in. Now because the sphere has that rigid body on there, you can click rigid body, and I can use gravity and have that checked. So what should happen is after 5 seconds, the sphere should appear floating in the air, and then because we put another delay script on here, the sphere should fall. Sphere appears, and then it drops. So really what this is doing is almost creating like a Rube Goldberg type of system. You could then have something else occur afterwards. You can have things placed within different objects, different scripts that are going to enable and disable. This one event enable and disable on a delay will allow you to do so many things.